How long you think it was gonna take before we got here? Now you gotta prove yourself all over again. Come on.
Ain't nobody coming out and gunning from 100 yards, trying to hit my mark, missing every time. This will be the start of the picture perfect. Watch you.
Every day, Charles, we got to start all over again.
All over again.
You should be happy with we're starting today. Last time we got together for Keeneland, you definitely had a good day. You had the winner, I think, in all 8 races.
Yep.
And both pick 5s that you played. So we both agreed that today was a difficult card. And then when I was, updating the sheets for all of our picks, as well as the simulations and all the other data that we put together, I was amazed at how many horses we both agreed on. So I don't know if that's a positive thing or a negative thing, Charles.
Well, I mean, and every race, I kept on coming down to like 4 horses. I can never really narrow it down to 1, maybe 2 horses, except for one race that I did. Other than that, it's pretty wide open.
Yeah, I felt like the card was pretty wide open too. I mean, you're good first race, you can't get any more wide open than that. But before we move on to that, last night, Sean and Julie had on Renee Diaz for a wonderful conversation. If you haven't had a chance to tune in to see about his path to horse racing, his family, and stuff that's ahead for Renee in his early career, make sure you head on over to Horse Racing Radar TV. Well, if you're here there now, great. That's a pretty interesting thing to say. Go ahead and put in, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Follow us on our social sites. We have some interesting news out in the next, hopefully 5 to 6 hours or so regarding tomorrow that could actually end up putting a few dollars in your pocket. So if you want to see how that might happen, make sure you follow us on the social sites below. Then tonight, Julie will be back just by herself. Sean is on the sidelines tonight. She's going to get together with a trio of guests, and they're going to talk about aftercare. So if you're interested in knowing how you can either help in aftercare or the sort of things that are available for aftercare if you have a horse, should be a great show. And if you have any questions, of course, you're always welcome to jump into the comments section, just like today. Throw your picks at us, throw your questions at us, throw them all tonight at Julie as well and her 3 guests. Should be an incredible show. Looking forward to that one myself, Charles.
Yeah, thank God they're now finally getting around to this. It's really upfront with everybody now about this aftercare. Back when I owned horses in the late 80s, early 90s, when your horse was done, I had to go out there and actually find these places for my horses, which I did do. And I had some that went to, schools for kids to ride them, and so on and so forth.
Were you one of those that went there for the school for the kids to ride?
Yes, I was. I gave all the...
They're going to have our race indeed over there.
That's right.
Well, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to coming down to Lexington and racing Charles in a 1 furlong race. That should be an absolute blast. Just like tonight should be an absolute blast with Julie. Make sure, and we're trying to be, we're small, we're growing. We're trying to be on the forefront of what's happening in the business and, having a positive effect on the people who work here, people who join our show, as well as what happens afterwards. You ready, Charles?
Ready.
To go after this first race here at, that would be a funny thing, Julie, him and I running against each other. We'll put some kids on his back so he can be like the Papa Bear or whatever. Race number 1 at Keeneland, Charles. This one is 4.5 furlongs. We know about those sprints down there at Keeneland or over there by you. At 4.5 furlongs on the main track, you're kind of looking for horses, believe it or not, that have tactical speed, just not straight up burners. None of the 3 races yet have gone wire to wire. All of the winners have come from either post 2 and 3 or 8 and out. So again, only 3 races to date. All of these are first-time starters, so we can't do anything in terms of our pace or our simulations or any of that sort of stuff, Charles. So all we can straight up do is go ahead and make our picks. And surprisingly, we ended up in the same place, just different order.
Yeah, and there's especially since yesterday, all day, there was 2 words out there, tip-wise. Hancock really likes his horse, which is the 9. He thinks that she's good. And Wesley Ward called his horse a beast. So
he's got 2 in here, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, he's talking about the 6, though. The 6
beast.
She's a beast. That's what he kept on saying. So between those two trainers out there talking, those are going to be your two favorites in the race. But I ended up with Ward's horse here. I mean,
you ended up with the Beast.
The Beast.
I mean, it should have a better name. Shouldn't it be the Beauty, right? Because the Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, he called her the Beast. Apparently, there's only been 4.5 furlong races for 2-year-olds, and Wesley Ward's won all 3 of them.
That's what the other day when we had on the young man from England, Tyler, he had mentioned that, if even in those 4.5 furlong types, if anybody can get anything over wise on Wesley Ward, today's going to be the day, Charles. Today is going to be the day. The Beast is going to be beaten by a Beauty.
Yeah, I know. It's really strange for hearing him say something like that about a horse at 2 years old. 3 years old, I've heard him say it before. Well, anyway, she has her dam has 2 winners from 3 starters. Not bad. Solid workout pattern. You have to admit, when you look at it, Ward and Rosario combo, tough to beat. But my second choice here is the 10. This horse is definitely bred for speed. Solid workouts. Trainer gets 10% on first timers. Probably not the best in the world for first timers, but first timers are so hard and are very rare. So the 11 horse is my third choice. This horse is another Wesley Ward horse. This is Ward and Irad combo. Solid works, bred very well. And then that Hancock's horse, the 9, is my final choice here. Dam has 2 winners from 3 starters. Solid work tab. And if you really look at that work tab, it looks like this one's ready to rock and roll.
You got to bet you're going to trifecta box all 4 years. We have a $100 budget.
All 4 of those horses. And I would love to throw in a couple more, of course. But those 4 horses, I'm putting in a trifecta box. I believe those are the top 4. But, yeah, it's a tough race.
I think the 10 horse, Too Fast for You, is going to be too fast for the Beast today. You're going to get your first wire-to-wire win. On March 22nd, did 3 furlongs breezing from the gate, Charles, which means they're not really hustling that horse out, right? Breezing from the gate. What does breezing from the gate mean?
Just when they break, they keep rushing them to keep moving, to move fast. So it's breezing.
So
handling, and then they'll have handling from the gate. Handling is right when you get them out, you just hold on to them and let them run their speed they want to do.
So 34-2 breezing from the gate. Charles, that might be fast enough. That would be fast enough probably to win this race today.
At 4 furlongs, if they could do 46, they win the race probably.
You almost had me. The 9 horse is my second choice in here. What I liked about the 9 horses workouts, many of these other horses had their workouts were compared to 6 other horses, or 7 or 10 or 11. But the 9 horse, their workouts were against 40 horses, 100 horses, and still having very strong workouts against probably horses that are running in much stronger, stiffer competition than this particular race might prove to be. So I like those workouts against a deeper class of horses practicing. Then I have the 11 horse, the Wesley Ward horse, and Irad together. They have won 4 out of 5, so 80%, slight advantage over Bayer, the other Wesley Ward horse. I guess that one's the one that is the Beast. But for me, I looked at that Irad thing and I thought, well, it looks like Wesley puts Irad up on some of his better horses, winning 4 out of 5. So I'm going to do a pick 3. One of those horses is probably going to win, but I also tossed the 3 in there as well. Crickle with the 5-7 in the next race. And then the race after that, race number 3, little foreshadowing, the 7, the 9, the 11, and the 12. I'll be really interested to see how that race plays out, this opener here. Let's see what happens in race number 2, Charles. In race number 2, we actually do have some interesting stuff here. Race 2 is 1 mile and a 16th. It is claiming $12,500 for a purse of $38,000. At 1 mile and a 16th, again, they haven't run a whole lot. Meets just starting there, but early speed has been the way, but none of the 10 races have been won by horses that go wire to wire. So probably you want to sit off the pace a little bit. The inside 3 and 8 and out have been where all the action's been post position wise. 4, 5, 6, and 7 have been heavily dinged. So of course I have, all of those horses in my picks. Why not? Early speed has been the way, Charles, but not necessarily being on the front. It looks like Hard Love will be on the front.
Yeah, a 71% chance of having that lead at the quarter pole will be the 5. And, it probably will be, but I do believe that 1 will challenge at least or sit second and pressure at 17% of having that lead at the quarter pole. And then when it comes to our simulation odds, that 1 looks pretty good, just slightly under 2-1. Morning line is 6-1. And then you got the 5 slightly over 2-1. You got 3.5-1 on the morning line on that one.
Yeah, and then for the comfort zone over here, the horse that looked like it was going to get the trip that best fit its running style was the 2, but that guy's out of here today. That means the 2 inside and the outside, Cartier Cat and Call of Honor should get the 2 best trips. And Charles, I don't know if you watched yesterday, I was paying attention. I admit, the C zone was something that came into my mind after reading a couple different things. Went ahead and made it work, and then trying to figure out like what that combination is, because yesterday, those bombs that hit at Parks, a couple of them, a lot of those C-zone scores were really, really high. So I got to find out what that combination is in terms of high Z-zone score and long shot. And it's not the first long shot. We've seen it day after day after day since introducing it. A high comfort zone score and long odds many times show up in your exactas, trifectas, and even in the winner's circle from time to time. So in race number 2, our race shape, you see, the 1 horse is your lone pilot, co-pilot type. So it could be on the front. The question is, will he be on the front? If we look at the recency bias for early speed, that does look like it's going to go to Hard Love and then Panorama Truck. Those 2 likely to be out on the lead. 5 horses a pressure closer type, so he does have a little bit of versatility to its game. Doesn't necessarily need to be on the lead. As far as late pace is concerned, that 6 horse, Karum and Heirloom Kitten, those 2 have the most late run. And not surprisingly, you find them in the closer column. As far as a complete race, the beginning to the end, who's likely to connect the front to the back, that belongs to Paranorma Truck. Has the top early pace, late pace combination score, Charles. I think this is, again, one of those days where just about anything could happen in a lot of these races. I feel like this one is wide open too. What do you got?
Yeah, I think it's a 2-horse race personally. And I think it's the 2 speed horses. I think the 1 and the 5. I think if the 5 goes out in front, the 1 will sit second and vice versa. The 1 I chose on top, Tyler's aboard. If you toss that last race out, that makes this horse very dangerous. Rail gets 20% at this distance, and this horse drops in class. The 5 also drops, but the trainer gets 24% first time in a claimer. So this is the first time this horse has been in a claim, and it definitely has the speed to go wire to wire. The 7 is my 3rd choice. This one is going to definitely be closing, definitely fits with this group. And then the 6 is my price horse, if you want to call 3-1 price. Has that tactical speed that can sit pretty close and kick it in at the end. Wong is the trainer. He gets 25% second after a claim. He was well bet last time out, and Wong came from the West Coast. He's now officially 100% on the East out here, so he's a really good trainer.
I am going to go ahead and start with, in the second race, the 5, Hard Love. I agree with Scary Creations. Scary Creations says Hard Love wins this race easily, never gets 7-2. Well, I'm not, I don't like those emphatic easily statements, but I hope he does win easily for sure. I don't like to jinx myself. It's one of those superstitions that I have. Cartier, anyway, it is by far running at the lowest level of its career. It's the first time the horse is running on dirt. But if you rewind through the dirt workouts, you see most of them are more than good enough to compete here. And some of the past workouts at Keeneland were actually pretty fast. So I agree with Scary. I think this one is your winner, gets up front and maybe never gets caught. Cartier Cat, I guess you have to include this one. Charles hasn't run this low in its last 10. The closest was claiming $15,000, non-winners of 3, and it won that race. Call of Honor, the 1 horse, all or nothing horse at the distance, 6 times out, 3 wins, nothing else to show for it. Did one of those at Keeneland. Low-level MCL at the distance is how it did get that Keeneland win. Appears to have a little more upside than the 4, which is my next choice. Bigger drop and a better post. As far as Heirloom Kitten is concerned, It might be one of the better horses in the race, but trainer Eric Foster is 0 for 24 in terms of making that transition from all weather to dirt. I'm going to do a pick 4. I'm going to single that 5 along with you, Scary Creations, with the 7-9-12, with the 7-8-9, with the 1-4-7. Go back to race number 1, Charles. We did get a late scratch on this 10 horse. Too Fast for You is not in the race. So Scary lets us know. Do you want to put something else in there in the 10's place?
Yeah, I'll take the 12.
You're going to take the 12. Okay, so let's go back here to
Put
pick
12 at the back end, though. I mean, 12.
So you got 11, 9, and 12, and you're going to do the same thing with your trifecta box.
Yes.
11, 6, and I think I had the 3 next. So 3. That's the way my picks are going to look now for race number 1. I think the 9's supposed to be black, right? Yes, indeed. All right, so that's going to be that. So race number 1, here we go. I have the 9, 11, 6, and 3. And then we're just going to take you're going to change that, are you now, Charles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to take out the 10, and I'll leave everything else the same for me. Let's see. Or maybe I'll throw another one in there, too. Who would be next on my list? I'm going to put the 5 in there as to substitute for the 10. All right, 3, 6, 9. I don't know what the hell I'm going on here. 3, 6, 9, 11, and then the 5, just so that the math is the same for my friend Terry. All right, there we go. Race number 1. That's the way it all sets up. Thanks for the heads up there, Scary. We appreciate that. Kind of hard to monitor all those things and run all these buttons at the same time. Race 1 is loading, so let's go ahead and take on. They're off actually in race number 1. They're way off. They're
wow.
Right now at the front, it looks like you got the 6 and the 9 competing. At the 6, the Beast is taking the lead, Charles, but they're battling back. That 9 horse, Charles, is really right out. He's actually taking the lead from the Beast. Looks like it's going to go 9. You got that 12 horse in there, Charles. That one's coming in pretty well. So the 9, the Beast is taking a little bit of a break, a little bit of a breather. Does look like that 3 horse is coming up on the rail, though, Charles. So it's going to go 9, and then 6 and 3, I think. 9, and that might have been, the 10 is out. So 9, 6, and 3, folks. 9, 6, and 3. I should have just bet the trifecta there, Charles. I would have had that one. And that 9 horse went off at 9-5. So it was your second choice. 6 was your first choice, and then the 3 horse was 15-1. Crickle.
So I guess the other trainer was right that he liked his chances a lot.
The 9 horse, yeah. I just looking back in the notes. That 35 and the 34 and 2, Charles. That horse wasn't in there. That was the one that had all of those works against many more horses than 9 horse.
Right, but that's what you get when you hear all these trainers. This is what happens on the backside. You'll hear every trainer saying this and that. Well, just all day yesterday was those 2 trainers talking it up, and it ended up those 2 in the exacta, really. So,
yeah, Scary mentions if the 6 is a beast, the 9 is a monster. Yeah, you might want to circle that one. Yeah, unquestionably.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting that we came away with a lot of the same ones. So hopefully, it's an indication of good things to come on the day. I'm curious who finished 4th. I think the 5 might have actually got up in there for 4th. It's tough to tell if it got past that 12 or not. All right, Charles, let's move on to race number 3 at Keeneland today, since we're off to a decent start. Got the pick 3. Would like to have a little bit of long. Yeah, that 9 horse absolutely smoked everybody. That was a nice win night for that horse. Made it look easy. A little bit green, I thought, at first coming out of the turn. The 6 horse, too, a little bit moving its head around. I expect both of those horses to improve a lot.
Well, they're both learning how to change leads. It's a lot of stuff. It's just...
Still a really impressive way to run off on that horse.
Yes.
And I said today was the day Wesley Ward was going to lose. So
yeah, you did.
Got 2 things right to start the day. Let's see if we can continue that trend. 6 furlongs for race number 3, maiden claiming 20 grand. The purse, nice purse, $43,000. At 6 furlongs, they've run it 10 times. Early speed wins. 4 out of 10 of those horses went wire to wire. Post positions 1 through 3 play fair. 4 through 7, a bit of a discount. 8 and out, you did get a little bit of a bonus, but 10 races, really not big enough of a data set to lock it in stone. If speed is indeed going to go wire to wire, Charles, Gromlieski, I probably got that right. Gromliesk, the 11 horse.
Okay, I'll just go with that one. The 11 is going to have a 72% chance of having that lead at the quarter pole. And you know what? In my books, I think that one's going to be the leader all the way around until just at the end. Can he hang on? Is the question. The 7 has a 19% chance. Probably most likely be pushing that horse a little bit. Simulation odds. We have wow, look at that 5. The 5, slightly under 6-1. You got 30-1 morning line.
You know what that looks like a lot, Charles?
That looks like a serious overlay here to me.
It looks like that opener yesterday at Parks. We saw a similar discrepancy.
Yes, we did. And the horse finished second, but got bumped up for first. And matter of fact, I got to go back and look at that race that I had, the top horse, and it paid $88 the 8 in the 5th race.
You know what I missed about that, Charles? It was the lone maiden special weight dropper.
That's right. And then we got after the 5, looks like slightly to 7, a little bit over, 11-1. You got 12-1, but then you have that 9 at probably 2-5, and it's 2.5-1 morning line, and that's it when it comes to overlays. But yeah, that 5 is a serious overlay.
Yeah, and I like this combination here too on the 7, Mahome bred, strong season score for this field. Got a chance to be on the lead, and it looks like the odds are fair. So it could be an indication of a horse that could perform maybe better than the odds indicate, at least the morning line odds. And in race number 2, we have 3 horses that want to move towards the front. The 1 horse, race number 3. Yes, there we go. The 3 horse is a lone E type. One wants to be on the lead and runs its best. So the question is, will it have the lead chance to run according to its preferred winning style? And it'll compete for the lead. There's no question about that. Icy Stare will be on there. A lot of these horses so far have never been close. The NC column are horses that have not finished within 5 lengths of the leaders in their races. A couple of first-time starters with the 4 and the 13, and a pair of closers with the 5 and the 9. So let's see if indeed the 5 and the 9 are your closers. The 9 really stands out as a closer with a 12-point advantage over the rest of the field. So based upon the way this race shape looks to me, I wouldn't be surprised to see the 9, who has been a closer, running 3rd or 4th maybe, depending upon what the 2 first-time starters do, and then using those late legs to really try to punch it home. Charles, what do you say?
Yeah, that's basically how I see this race. The 9 is my top choice here. This horse drops in class. This is second start after a layoff. Leparoux stays on this horse. Last time, the horse ran okay overall, but now he stays on, and I think he now knows this horse and knows how to push its buttons. So I think I agree with you. I think it's going to sit in the catbird seat and give one big punch. The 12 horse, the one that's never been close, you put on your chart. This horse drops in class today. Trainer gets 16%, 46 plus days off. Second time with Lasix, bred for speed and turf, which we're not getting turf today, but we get this should have the speed there. So that's my second choice. The 11 is my third choice. This one definitely has the speed in the race, as we already talked about. Drops in class today, third start after a layoff. The trainer gets 20%, 26% with that angle. So that's a good angle there. And then my price horse is the 3, has some speed to keep up. Adds the blinkers today, which that means they're asking a little bit more from this horse, and Tyler jumps aboard.
And you got your try box again.
And I'm going all 4 of them because I don't trust any of them to do whatever I want them to do.
I hope I can trust Mahome bred to come out and run well today. When you look at the horse, he's been bet a bit backed by the bettors, so must be some word that it's a decent horse. Should be contentious for the lead, as well as a good trip according to all of our simulators. And if you look at the schedule of workouts since February the 12th, Charles, you see it looks like it's actually prepping for its debut. Just 1 week. So I think you're going to get a great effort out of Mahome bred. It could live up to the hopes that bettors have shown in this horse in the past. Get By, the only horse in this field that's met or exceeded par for this level in terms of speed figures. And we saw that it just had incredible late punch, probably going to get a really nice trip sitting behind. Really not a lot of speed, not a lot behind it that has the late leg, so should get the right trip. Big overlay as well. I'm here for the party. That 12 horse. They're never close. The workouts are nice. And this one absolutely has the best pedigree for the distance and the surface. And I hope we get 99-1 odds on that one. But again, one of the better C-zone scores here. Finally, Icy Stare, the 3-horse leading rider, Tyler G. I think this one should be part of the early pace. And another one that workouts indicate we should see a nice race here today. I'm going to do my trifecta, standard shape, 3 horses in the top 3 over the top 2 over my top 5 picks. So 7, 9, 12 over to 7, 9 over to 3, 5, 7, 9, and 12. Just kind of go back to race number 1 quick for some prices. Actually, the 11 horse, Charles, finished 4th. So they went 9, 6, 3, 11, 9, 6 exacta for a buck, paid 7.16. Surprisingly, for the 2 favorites, I think a little bit heavier than I thought it might be. The trifecta 963 for 50 cents, $19.79. And if you boxed the top 4 picks there, 9, 6, 3, and 11 for a dime, $1.20 turned into $17.80. Not bad.
I really agree with you. I think that exact is pretty surprising.
Yeah, it is for the 2 favorites.
Honestly,
right?
I mean, for the 2 big favorites and the 2 big talks of the track, everybody and their mother is betting on that horse.
Yeah, and it looks like they didn't bet the exacta. They just
bet win, that's right. They just bet wins, I guess.
Yeah. Race number 4 is 1 mile on the turf. Maiden, $100,000 is the prize. I have to say, Charles, going through this one, it was probably, I think, maybe the most difficult race for me. At a mile, the bias has been closers in the 3 races that they've had. One of them, however, went wire to wire. So the ones that did come from off the pace must have been really off the pace. And every winner came from posts number 2 or 3. So as far as our early speed and simulations are concerned, Charles, I think you're going to have the middle of horses are the ones that are going to lead the way out of the gates.
Yeah, we got there. Is it the 7 is a 45% chance of having that lead at the quarter pole. That horse does have speed. Excuse me. And I do believe it'd be one of them, but I do also agree with this chart here. The 5 has got a 27% chance, and even the 6 has got 11% chance. And I think all 3 of them are going to see who really breaks the gate the best. Probably of those 3 will have the lead at the quarter pole. Simulation odds. It looks like, the 7, right around 2 to 5 and 3.5 to 1 on the morning line. So that's a nice little overlay. That is it. Nothing else on the simulation odds.
Yeah, as far as what's going on this morning, Christopher? How are you today? Any nice prices for us today at anywhere, parks, whatever tracks you like? We're Keeneland, whatever's running today, Horseshoe, Indianapolis. You usually get some nice prices there. Looks like Kentucky Rain, Charles, could be one of those long shots, 30-1 with a 70, almost 80% chance to get a trip that absolutely should fit to its running style and its abilities today. So keep an eye on that 5, maybe back into your superfecta, trifecta, something along that lines in race number 4. Our race shape in race number 4, everybody disappeared. We had a bunch of scratches up in here. A couple first-time starters with the 4 and the 10. The 2 and the 12, those 2 haven't been close at the end of races. Maybe you include them, maybe you don't. Out front, looks like the 5 and the 6 recency. The 6 does indeed have the most speed, but the 5 should be right there as well. The 11 could be in a nice pressure position as well, which is where it kind of wants to be. As far as closers are concerned, let's see which one of the 1, 7, 8, and 9. Well, all 3 of them pretty competitive down the stretch there. Looks like the pressure horse, the 3, might also have a little bit of late pace. In terms of connecting the front to the back, boy, that 7 horse up and down. I think it's only run 1 race so far, so it may be a little bit skewed. But if not, it has a considerable advantage versus everybody else in here. Charles, I know you have the 7, but I don't think you have him first.
No, I do not. But let's put it this way. Wide open race.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at my pick 5, how I started it off. I mean, I took the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 to start it off. But I ended up with the 6 on top. He does have some speed. I believe there's a jockey upgrade on this horse. The trainer, the dam of this horse has 4 winners from 5 starters, and all 4 of those other ones are on the turf. So they all could do the turf, and she's got 4 winners out of that. The 7 is my second choice here. as you can see, has got some speed there to go wire to wire, just like the 6. You got IRAD and Brown combo, adds Lasix today, so that's a pretty dangerous combo there. The 8 is my third choice. This horse ran second last time out. Well bet last time. You got a hot jockey trainer combo last 14 days. This horse is totally bred for this 100%. And the 9, my price horse, but like you see on my pick 5, I got more price horses behind it. Ran second last time out, well bred. Trainer gets 18% with 90 plus days rest, so you got a fresh horse. So everyone better be, just pay attention to this race. If you have something that you really like, I would demand a price.
I would say you're probably right about that. Scary Creations, like the 3-horse Paint Me Perfect in here, says tried to close into a slow paces. Hopefully the pace is a little faster for him to close into today. Was actually my 5th pick, and borderline making it into this because, like Charles said, and you got to demand some value in this spot. I think you could get some value with the 9-horse in here. Just Say So. Finished second behind a horse that came back to win a $75,000 stakes run. Might have won without a trouble trip, and then lost to another one back in its debut, I believe. I remember 2 races that ended up running in the Breeders' Cup. So maybe just running into monsters and beasts, and hasn't had a chance to face a field not with a monster or a beast in it. Number 7, Up and Down, as you mentioned, this Chad Brown, Irad Ortiz, in terms of trainer jockey combo, it's kind of hard to get better than the leading trader and the leading jockey. Been off since September the 1st. Going to get that first dose of Lasix, as you pointed out, my friend. This one just needs to get off to a little bit of a good start. I don't like horses that kind of get mixed up in the back. I know it's a race that favors closers, but in a deep field, you could run into a little bit of trouble. Number 8, Make the Boys Wink. This one was better in terms of its race internals last time out, from the beginning to the middle to the end, and will be trucking at the end of the race. I think you're going to see a lot of late run. Finally, number 6, Fancy Saber Nay, likely going to be out front, which is Charles, kind of what you're probably thinking there. Has solid turf breeding numbers and your favorite handicapping angle, 3rd after a break. Trifecta for me, the 7, 8, and 9, then the 7, 9 with the 3, 6, 7, 8, and 9 in race number 4. Race 5 in an 8 card. It's just a short field today, Charles. Maybe one of the easier ones. It's approximately 7 furlongs, if there's such thing as an easy race today. Approximately 7 furlongs does have a profile of a winner in the 2 races so far. It's 100% that they both have gone wire to wire. So maybe that long back stretch, you better be out front or you could be in trouble. You had one that won from the rail, one that won from posts 4 and 7. In the 5th race, Charles, if speed does indeed matter, a lot of horses in here are going to have a shot, but maybe Long Shadow has the best chance to be on the lead.
Yeah, the 7 there at basically 43% chance of having that lead at the quarter pole. And you know what? It probably is going to be so, but, look at that 5. It's going to have a little bit of a say in that at 22%. And maybe even the 2 might push them a little bit on that. But I really think the 7 is going to have that lead at the quarter pole. When it comes to simulation odds, we have the 4, slightly over even money. And we have morning line of 6-1. That's a nice overlay. And then that 7 is slightly over 2-1. And we have a 3-1 morning line on the 7.
And there's that combination again. The strongest C-zone score, so likely to get a trip that fits favorably to its running style, likely to be on the lead, so that's a positive. So maybe that horse wants to be up on the front, and a little bit of an overlay. Long Shadow should be a factor in terms of its, it shouldn't have really any excuses today, so to speak, Charles. In the 5th race, the 7 actually is a EP type, so it can pilot or can co-pilot. The 4 and the 5, those 2 want to be on the front when they've won. They've done so from the lead. Let's see if either will have the lead. The 5 looks like it will be the pace setter today, at least according to its recency. The 7 should be right where it wants to be, right behind the early pace. That 2-horse on over here, a closer, that's what I call a left arrow horse, a horse that usually wants to be towards the back, but it's normal. Giddy up and go when the pace opens, should put it in contention from the start. Late pace-wise, pretty competitive in here. The 1 and the 7, so that 7-horse absolutely should get a good trip, both in terms of looking at pace and our C-zone score. And it indeed grades out along with the 5-horse as the 2 horses that are likely to run the best race from beginning to actually be a little bit of a price in here. Charles, take us through your picks.
Okay, I think it's a 2-horse race personally. I think it's between the 7 and the 1. I took the 7 on top. This horse has that tactical speed either to take it wire to wire, which I personally think he will, but he could sit second or third and just let everyone else do all the big running and take over later. This second start after a layoff adds the blinkers today. This is the second start with Lasix. I love that angle. And then the 1 horse is my second choice here. This one has that tactical speed, but with more on the closing side, as we just finished talking about. Cuts back in distance today. You got IRAD on, so you know you'll be flying. Then my third choice is that 4. This horse drops in class today. He has a little bit of speed to at least keep up. Cuts back in distance, so he might be a little dangerous there. And then the 2 horse is my price horse. This horse has that tactical closing speed. Third start after a layoff. Jockey gets 14% overall, so that makes that horse a little dangerous. But I still think it's a 2-horse race.
Charles in my computer again, picking the same 3 horses and just kind of trying to hide it with that 2 horse in the back end there. Long Shadow, as we saw on all the prep work here, is the lone EP horse. Should get a really good trip. Even last time too, if you look, the fractions were pretty swift in the first race that the horse had in a half a year. Second Lasix today should help the horse carry its speed a little bit longer and should, according to the resume, improve in the second start off the layoff. Invisible War, the 1 horse, has been a highly consistent performer, but one of those horses that has a high floor and a low ceiling. So all of its performances are in a really tight window. I like to see horses with a little bit more variance, even if it means every now and then they throw in a stinker, because then they can run that exceedingly good race as well. And a lot of times those horses that have great variance in their race-to-race performances end up giving you a little bit better odds too. Although Invisible War is 1 for 1 at the quirky 7 furlong distance, and the season score says you like this one today too. The Honorable One has 28 furlongs of workouts, and they're all pretty good workouts since last running on February the 28th. So there's no question the Honorable One will be fit, firm, and maybe ready to live up to that overlay according to our simulation odds. And then Sail That Sunrise, the 5-horse. It's been off for a while. I think it probably faced tougher competition during its days up at Woodbine. Didn't look like he liked the Woodbine all-weather track at all, or grass for that matter. And then if you look at the dirt races this one is actually raced in, they fit with this group. So maybe get a good price on that 5-horse. I probably should have put it in my pick 4 just in case the price does come home. But I went with the 3 top horses, 1, 4, 7, the 3, 6, 9, 12 with the 2, 7. And then the final race, I went ahead and did the 2, the 8, and the 9 for my pick 4. I didn't really like the pick 5, Charles, because that first leg, I felt like you could end up getting knocked out right away. But of course, you can get knocked out in these vertical races in any race, right?
That's right. That's why in that first leg, I took a boatload of horses.
Let's see. Salt That Sunrise is a sneaky play at 50 to 1. Never won on dirt, but his dirt race was fit with these exactly. The negative, never heard of the trainer. Well, I guess it could be a negative, but at the same time, maybe if he's a low profile trainer, he's doing some things you don't know about.
Sometimes that could be the positive.
Yeah, it can be, because the word doesn't get out, and you have a horse that not everybody's backing because nobody knows the trainer, and he can only tell 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
1.5 mile on the turf, Charles. That's a pretty long one right there. They're going to make 3 trips around the track there? 3 turns around the track.
And I mean, if you know the answer for sure, I believe that a mile and a half is only run in the States like 15 or 16 times a year. So this is one of them.
A few times, yeah. I don't know the answer to that question, but
I know it's a very small number.
Well, they did one of them already, Charles. So I think they only have a few left to go for the year. This allowance, 110,000, purse of 110 grand. And believe it or not, if you had to guess, how do you think the horse won going the only other mile and a half race so far?
Oh, I don't know. That's my.
Well, take a guess.
I would say wire to. I think wire to wire.
It did actually win wire to wire. Good guess. And it did it from post 4 through 7. So if another goes wire to wire in the limited number of races at the distance, Mr. Charles, looks like with the 4-horse, the 5-horse being out, the even Harlan is going to be the one that they have to run down.
Yeah, and I think that's the speed of the race, and it's showing on here 34% of having the lead at the quarter pole. On the chart here, it doesn't look like anybody else really is going to challenge, and I couldn't find many horses.
I actually kind of disagree with that. I think there are going to be plenty of them that push them up at the front, but
They
we'll see
might
that.
push
We'll
him.
see that maybe on the in the pace
Yeah.
setup later on.
Maybe the bottom horse down there, 11, or one of the bottom horses, the 11, might push it a little bit. The simulation odds, though, we have. What do we have? Do we have anybody? Oh yeah, 10 even money, and the morning line is 3-1, and then the 11 is slightly over 2-1, and we got morning line at 4-1. So there's overlays there.
And that combination again, Charles, of high C zone overlay, it could be a very. And I had him. He's going back and forth between putting them in the 4th spot or the 5th spot. Left him in the 5th spot. Probably going to regret that. The 9 horse is another one with a very high C zone score too. So the race shape should really fit Mount Rundle and the 11 horse Master of the Ring. Our race shape, and this is where I thought maybe we might find that there was a little bit more speed than we thought. Actually, not. The 3's out there as the lone E. But, and when you look at these numbers here too, he's out there. He's going to be on the front, Charles. You're right. No question about that. Nobody else is going to go with them, though. A lot of these other horses in their PPs have 1s early on. So I think they might go out and try, and that might hurt their chances more than it hurts the 3
Well, if
horses.
you look at the TPs, they're like literally almost 2 seconds slower at the 6 furlong mark.
But then again, that other horse is running out on the West Coast.
Right.
So
we're not trying. It's hard to compare, but this is what we got going here for us. So yeah, I thought the 11 would be the only one that would probably even try to challenge.
Yeah, I think there's some others that'll give it a go. Late pace wise, the 10 horse is got the most speed, always above at the end. Although when Tristan Mount Rundle, they'll be right involved as well as they're coming down the stretch. And then the even Harlan does score out as the top early pace, late pace number. But again, I think you got to discount those numbers a little bit because they tend to be elevated out in California. I do think they'll probably come down a little bit in Kentucky. You like that 3 horse, Charles, as your winner. I have him in my picks, but not on the top.
Yeah, I think it's another 2 horse race here. The 3, I think it's going to go out in front and go wire to wire. Graham Ocean is the trainer, excellent trainer. He always sends them out ready to rock and roll. He gets 33% when he takes the blinkers off. So they're telling me that they want this horse to relax a little bit more. So if he's going to relax on the lead, that's going to be a scary combo. Drops in class today. You got Rosario out there as the pilot. And then the 9 horse is my second choice here. This one has that tactical, but more on the closing side. Second start after a layoff. Johnny V is on the board, so look out for that horse at the end. The 11 horse is that I believe is the other speed horse in this race. Ran second last time. Tyler is aboard. Second start after a layoff, but I just think the other 2 is going to be too much for him. And then the 10 is my price horse. If you want to call 3-1 price, he drops in class. Definitely should be closing. Trainer gets 13% with 90-plus days off. 90-plus days off going 1.5 miles. There's my only little question there. I would like to see that be 46 days, to be honest with you.
Scary Creations is actually picking a value horse with the 1, Foreign Relations. So the horse is lightly raced, gets Flavian Pratt. Trainer Connor Murphy does jumps, so steeplechase. So the horse should definitely be fit, no question about that. He can get the horses to go 1.5 miles on the ground. Yeah, I would imagine if you're running over, jumping over fences and over rivers and lakes and stuff, you're going to be fit and ready to go. I have the 10 horse, Charles, as my top selection in race number 6, always above. The workouts suggest this guy should be ready to go. And if you look at some of those late pace numbers, every now and then he throws just a rocket ship in there at the end. I'm hoping to get one of those big blowout late pace numbers to bring this guy home. Mount Rundle shows that he can keep pace early when he wants to. There's times where he's gone out to the lead and then faded, and other times where he's let the horses get away and then tried to run them down. Eventually, he'll put the front, the ability to be close, with the back end, the ability to close together into one race. And when he does, he's going to win big. I'm hoping that's today that he connects the 2. Even Harlan faced some good company. Should be for the places we saw. Yeah, you're likely leader on here. The lone E-horse with the best early pace in here. I do think it could be a little bit more competitive than perhaps the statistics are showing us. And I'm concerned because at shorter distances, when he's gotten the clear lead, he's still faded anyway. So maybe that 1.5 miles, a bit concerned that extra distance might work to its disadvantage, or it could work to its advantage too, if they can get far enough ahead and then kind of gallop home. And then the 6-horse Wind Twist. I'm going to take a little bit of flyer here with the Wind Twist at 20 to 1, 185 according to the simulation odds. I hope we get those odds. This one absolutely is going to be closing late, and it's going to go this long for the very first time. The only other time that this horse ran on grass, it did win, and it's also catching a weight break today. I think this could be the biggest beneficiary of going 1.5 miles. I'm going to do a try 3, 9, 10 with the 9, 10, with the 3, 6, 9, 10, and then the 11. Probably should consider tossing that 1 in there too, because foreign relations was the very next pick for me as well. Let's go back to race number 2, Charles, because I think they're about to go run race number 2, right?
Let me see here.
Are y'all gonna? Yeah, we'll be doing an Oaks Derby show. We'll be doing all that stuff for the Kentucky Derby. Yeah, so we got about 1 minute to go to race number 2. In race number 2 right now, Charles, it does look like in the second race there is the favorite is the 1-horse, the Call of Honor, 6 to 1 morning line. Charles sniffed that one out, as did the simulation odds. It's down to 3 to 2, so 1 to 5. So maybe Call of Honor is a little bit of an, what we call underlay, right? Odds, you're not getting enough value, perhaps to bet that horse. I mean, my theory is there's no value in a losing ticket. So if you feel like the 1-horse is going to win, then that's the one you play, right?
Yeah, that's right. A winner is a winner. You can't help it. Well, sometimes you can't help the odds. I mean.
Mm-hmm. And then the 5-horse is your next play at 3 to 1. The 6 and the 7 are both 4 to 1. According to our early pace numbers, that 5-horse should be the one that gets out onto the lead. As far as the comfort zone, it does look like the 1 and the 7 Cartier Cat, that duo should be the two that have trips that are very much to its liking. And indeed, the 1-horse is on the rail, was able to probably get the lead, though he is being pressured pretty good. If you look at it, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and what the hell's the 7 doing?
Yeah, what is he doing going out wider than the Jesus?
Yes, I think that the 7's horse race might be over, Mr. Charles.
I don't understand that move. He was already behind horses, and then he went 6 wide.
So they're running 1 mile and a 16th and 23 and 44. I got a feeling that might be just a little bit on the fast side, Charles.
Just a little bit. Better slow it down.
I don't know. You got the 1 is on the lead right now, Call of Honor, followed by the 3-horse, Panoramic Truck. Then the 4-horse, I think, is making a move up. 47 and 28. They slowed it down, but not a whole lot, I don't think, Charles.
I would have been a lot. I would have thought maybe 48 would have been better, but
the 7-horse, the one that got that really funky break in the back of the pack, looks like it's rolling. They're coming out of that turn again now. The 1-horse is still on the lead. It looks like you're going to get a little bit of a play here at the end. The 5-horse is going to try to make a move. Doesn't look like it's going to be all that successful at that move, though. That 1-horse is just running away.
They're all dropping fast.
The only one that's making up any ground right now is the 7-horse.
They did 112 and 5, so they slowed it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's looking between his legs, so he thinks he's got this one in the bag with that 1-horse. You need that 5 to come up, and of course,
I don't think it's going to happen.
Nah, and I think did I get knocked out on my pick 3, or did I keep the 1 in there? I hope I didn't get knocked out on my pick 3. I did. I had the 5 and the 7. You know, this has been killing me lately, Mr. Charles. I don't know how many times lately that I have had that my very next horse eliminate me over and over and over again. All right, so we went through race number 6, right, Charles?
Yes. Yes,
all
we
right.
did.
So we're going to go on to race number 7. In race number 7, my friend, we're going to go 1 mile and a 16th again. 1 mile and a 16th. Apparently, the big class dropper can't run no more. I guess not, right? It's that 5-horse just did not perform at all. In race 7, my good friend Charles and all those following along. Mile and the 16th claiming 75,000. Non-winners of 2 in a lifetime. Purse is $60,000 at mile and the 16th, as we talked about. Early speed does win, although none of the 10 have gone wire to wire. You have a little bit of inside and outside advantage. Charles, 4 through 7 get heavily dinged in race number 7. Our early speed belongs way on the outside to Royal King.
Yeah, 90% chance having that lead at the quarter pole. But, there's going to be a couple other horses probably going to pressure it a little bit. But, the question is, can he hang on after the quarter pole is more of the question, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The simulation odds, we got slightly on the one, slightly over 4-1. You got 5-1 morning line. And then we have the 4 and slightly over even money and 8-1 over morning line. That's a nice little overlay. And everything's about the right on the 7. It's right there where it's supposed to be.
And it looks like everybody should be where they want to be on this race as well in terms of the race speed, how fast this one is going to go. In the 7th race, the 2 and the 7 are the 2 that want to have the lead. Everybody else wants to close, Charles. And if the first 2 races are any indication, you probably better want to be up front, I think. But then again, they might just been easily the 2 best horses in the race, right? So when a long shot hits at a price up front, you'll know that the bias is for speed. Royal King is the one that is the fastest, Charles, when the gates open through the first quarter mile. Coming home, it's also the second fastest, a little bit behind the 5-horse Princely and tied with Bright Spark. You might not be able to pass what you can't catch in that 7-horse, Charles, because he's going to end up having a pretty substantial 12-point early pace, late pace advantage over everybody else. Again, it doesn't necessarily notch them in as absolute winners, but horses you have to play when they have a 10-point or more advantage over the rest of the field. Royal King has that, but he doesn't have any of your love.
No, none of my love, because I see him going to lead, but I think the 2 is going to sit there and pounce at the half mile marker. I really do think that's going to happen. The 2 will take over from there and just move on. Drops in class today. Cox gets 22%, 46 plus days off, and gets 26% with the first time in a claiming race. So that's what we have here on this horse, and Pratt's aboard. So look out, everybody. This horse is going to, I think, take over at the half mile point. The 1 horse is my second choice. This one has that tactical closing speed, drops in class today. The rail gets 20%, third start after a layoff, my favorite angle.
Let me ask you a question, Charles. Do you know what a Chileno is?
Chileno? No, I do not.
Well, I know it. Maybe it's a, from soccer. If you ever watch when they score in soccer, I think I got this right. I hope I got this. This is one when the ball is coming and they like flip upside down and then kick with their feet over their head backwards into the goal.
With the flip.
Yeah, I think that's called a Chileno. Now I'm not so sure of it. Anyway, go ahead. Next pick.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that, but I mean, I couldn't tell you if you're right or wrong. The 6.
If you're ever on Jeopardy and they ask, don't blame me.
I will. What's a Chileno? Anyway, 6 is my third choice. This one definitely should be closing. This is the second start after a layoff, and Maker gets 19% at that angle, which is not bad. And then the 5 is my final horse here, which is my price horse. At 15-1, maybe might be a play. Drops in class. Second start after a layoff, and this trainer gets 20% with that angle. So makes the horse at least in play, but I still think good luck trying to catch the 2.
And Scary says, box the 1-2 in race number 7 and move on. That's where Charles is in. Charles putting $20 just on the 2. He's forget the 1.
But I agree with that. Box the 1-2, and you're good.
I'm going to go a little bit different route. I'm going to go with that 7. Royal King should compete from the word go. We see that with the early speeds going long for the first time. And many times you see horses that show speed in sprints. That speed is actually accentuated in the first route. I think it's going to, even though it's going longer, I don't think it's going to be taxed all that much. Number 2, Film Star dropping in class. Flavry and Brad Cox. That combination wins at 35%. And surprisingly, despite the fact that they're both top at the game, still generates a plus 82 cents positive ROI and making a start at the lowest level of its career today. Chileno, the top last race speed figure, drops in class 2 like that. was better through the first half mile in its last race compared to the prior start. And this one should, in the third after a layoff, be the best of the three, according to its CV. And then Bright Spark, the 4, was a tough call over the 3 for me in this spot, actually, Charles, but has been facing better, stronger horses at higher levels, and then also has that simulated trifecta for me: 2-7, 1-2-7, 1-2-3, 4-7. Do that trifecta and then move on. And that's what we'll do to race number 8. A bunch of scratches in the last race of this competitive 8-race card. This one is a mile on the turf. Again, 1 mile on the turf does, in the 3 races, favor closers, although 2 out of 3 were closers. The other one was a wire to wire. So if you're going to be up front, you better really be up on the front, Charles. And on the front, that's going to go to now showing the 12 horse.
Yep, 48% chance of having that lead at that quarter pole.
And probably higher than that with all these other guys scratching.
Yeah, I was going to say, with all those, scratches out of there, it probably boosts that up a little bit. But remember, this is a maiden, so someone might wake up here and there. You never know. So I think he will be pressured enough. The question is, can that horse hang on? Has a tendency to quit. The simulation odds, there's nothing there.
Yeah,
nothing there for an overlay. So I think, you definitely have to demand a value in this race. I think that my top 3 choices are going to be a tough ones to beat, but I would not be surprised if anyone else wins.
So in this spot, we do see that the 8 is making the first start. 7, 11, and 12, those have never been close, so maybe you can toss them out, although that 12 with that early speed, if it can catch the right pace, might be able to steal something. The 9 horse in here might be your most versatile horse in here. Reconsider Me, coming in from England, if I remember correctly. That's why I didn't score any scores here, because they don't translate those numbers to the U.S., although based upon its race, we can kind of get a sense of where it will finish or the type of running style that it does have. Early speed-wise, you're going to look at the 12 and the 6. Those 2 should be out on front, pulling the cart as the race starts. As the race comes to a close, the 7 and the 5, Super Lux and Bel Rosso, they have the most energy at the end. So they'll be pulling the cart at the end, beginning and the end put together. Show us minus the 11 and the 2 horse, and maybe the others. This race is very competitive, Charles. I think anything can happen in this spot as well. What do you think will happen?
Yeah, with the numbers there, I chose the horse that has the lowest number overall, but I'm going off of what's going on in this race. The 2 here drops in class. You have a Joe Sharp and Tyler Gaffalione as a combo. Great combo. Excellent trainer and jockey. They add Lasix today. I think this horse could be moved forward a little bit on this, so I think he could be very dangerous.
Well, one reason why perhaps the data is a little bit off, because it's just data, right?
Yeah.
And that second race, the horse just kind of stopped and finished 41 lengths off the lead. So in the computer, we could write it into the program, and eventually we'll be talking about putting all this stuff into software on the web, where we'll be able to create the data and more for every race at every track. But we'll talk about that down the line. And in that case, when we're writing the software, we'll be able to toss those outliers out. But I think if you do toss that other race out, the 2 would probably ascend to the top of the list.
Right. And that was what I was about to say. If you toss that last race, it'd be it puts it there, but it's a maiden race still. So none of these have ever won. The 6 horse is my second choice. This horse has got some of that probably tactical speed, that scary tactical speed. You got a jockey upgrade, is bred for this. So I think that horse makes him dangerous. The 1 is my third choice, which is a nice little price. Cuts back in distance today, bred for the turf, adds Lasix, and Norm Casey gets 33% at that with that angle with adding Lasix, and he has had a great year so far as a trainer. And I knew he was going to have a blowout year this year, and he's doing that 100%. And then the 10 is my final and price horse here too. Ran second last 2 times, likes the distance, bred for this, so it makes him a dangerous too. But I am going to stick with my top 3 picks there. And with my pick 5, my late pick 5, but I'm going to go with an exacta box with the top 2 because of the prices.
Scary Creations likes the 1 and the 2 in race number 7, then the 1 and the 2 in race number 8. So maybe a 1-2-1-2 daily double and a 1-2-1-2 exacta. So as for that one horse, adding Lasix, getting back to turf, should be long odds, taking a shot with him. And Charles and I are also going to take a shot with him as well. I like Callie's Grit. Something clearly went wrong, as we mentioned, in that second race. In that first race, and after that race in September the 3rd, it moved to the sidelines. So clearly something was amiss in that spot. And then in that debut, it ended up losing to a horse that ran in the Breeders' Cup and also won a stakes race afterwards. So clearly was facing some competitive stuff there when it finished second. It didn't lose to a nobody. Number 8, Frontal Attack. First-time starter for Chad Brown and Irad Ortiz. Again, great combination. I think the key to this one is watch the board. If it's taking on a lot of money, I would suspect that the word around the track is the horse has done well. And if the odds kind of drift higher, maybe move away from that one. The 9 horse, Reconsider Me. That's the one that's coming in from England. And I think that the race could actually be a key race. The horse finished second. The horse that beat it has not run since, but the horse who finished third behind it came back to win its next race. So it's possible that this horse indeed did run in a pretty solid affair over there. And a lot of times too, those English horses come over here, they run on that kind of soggy grass over there, and they come over here and get the firm, hard tracks, and they love it or hate it. So we'll see if it loves it today. Finally, the 1 horse, Stay Lost. The trio of turf races absolutely fit with all of the others that are left in this field. So I'm going to take the higher odds and then the absolute strongest C zone on the board. So it should get a trip very much to its liking. Trifecta 2, 8, 9 with the 2, 8, with the 1, 2, 6, 8, and 9 to close out the day at Keeneland for me, Charles. But that's not it for the racing. If you're going to look over to Horseshoe Indianapolis today, down in the link in the description below, it is the free track of the day, guaranteed tip sheet. So if you're going to do a little bit of Horseshoe Indianapolis, make sure you hit that link down there. And while you're there, you'll see for the first time ever, we're doing the Triple Crown. We used to do some stuff with the Triple Crowns. Breeders' Cup package, $120. You're going to get all of our picks, all of our wager guides, everything that we do. That's 50% off what it would normally cost you. Again, you'll find that link over at Guaranteed Tip Sheet. You're going to want to take advantage of that, I assure you, because I can promise you, I do the work. I know how much effort and energy goes in to putting that all together. May not be perfect, but I promise you it's absolutely prepared. Our full picks for today after 2 races so far, Charles, are in the books. Let's pull them up for this. And then any final thoughts from you before we get up and get out of here?
No, the weather's really good here for the next 2 days, today and tomorrow. The weekend is questionable. It might be some rain. So if you're looking ahead to play Keeneland for Saturday, maybe a Friday and Saturday, look out, look at the weather. Other than that, it's let's go out and get some winners. This is going to be a tough day, but I think we can get some prices.
Tomorrow, you mentioned some rain. It's supposed to be sunny in the morning, maybe rain a little bit later on in the day. If you are in the Chicagoland area, and you're going to be anywhere near Stickney, Illinois, where Hawthorne is, you'll be able to find myself and Terry there in the sports book. We're going to go live the whole day at Sportsman's Park, Hawthorne. It used to be down there, Sportsman Park. They were right next to each other, one closed. Please stop by, say hello. Keep an eye on our social sites down there below. Hopefully in a little bit, we'll make an announcement about how you can actually win some money from what myself and Terry do, and perhaps the Jim Miller and the other handicappers at Hawthorne. Maybe a little hint of a handicapping contest. We'll also be giving away some free Hawthorne gear. You want to make sure you tune in for that. If you want a hat or t-shirt or something along those lines, please support that show. The better it goes, the more likely we are to go to places like Keeneland and do the same sort of stuff. So please support us in that regard. The best way to make sure that you don't miss that is to hit the like button here on and subscribe on YouTube. Hit the like button on Facebook. Follow us on our social sites, and all of that will happen. All right, Charles, that wraps it up for today. We keep an eye again on our social sites too, because Charles and I, before we head off to Hawthorne, we might do, depending upon how much work I can get done for Hawthorne tonight, we might do Keeneland in the morning again tomorrow. So you're going to want to keep an eye on our social sites for that. That wraps it up for today, Charles, on this hump day. No matter what you're doing, no matter where you're at, we hope the sun shines on you, as does God's grace, and that every single one of your picks ends up in
the winner's circle.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday. Look forward to maybe seeing you out of Hawthorne. The worst, seeing you right here online. Have a fantastic day.